today was like a Tuesday in our preparation. You may have noticed that Mossy Johnson wasn't out here. Mossy blew out his knee in one-on-one last week, so he did his ACL, MCL, PCL, just about everything. So he's going to be out for the year, going to have surgery here in a week or two. But other than that, we're just preparing for a real good Stanford team.
Is that the same knee from when he was in high school?
I didn't even check. Yeah, I didn't check.
Do you know if it's left or right knee?
I don't know. No, I didn't check. I just believe it's his right knee, but I'm not positive.
No, you talk about you don't ever play the woe is me card and everything, but at some point, do you shake your head a little bit with just everything that's...
Well, I mean, injuries are part of this game, unfortunately, and you just, your first thought is for the young man that gets hurt, and, they've worked so hard to get where they are, and in all four of those guys' case that are lost for the season, they just had great off seasons. They were on track for really good years, and so you hate to see that. The rehab that they're going to have to go through, so that's difficult. But you just got to keep looking forward, and you can't let it become a distraction. And you got to do the best you can. And I appreciate that about our young men, is they just come out and they just do the best they can, and that's what we'll continue to do.
Is it difficult at all to simulate Stanford's man blocking scheme, the power of the counter trade, considering your guys are only practicing zone blocking most of the time? To simulate it in practice?
No, we're not really a zone blocking team. No, it's different. It's definitely different. But we run off cards. So when you simulate an opponent's offense, every week it's a little bit different. Like the routes are a little bit different, the formations, the motions. So I think most of our offensive linemen that are doing the scout team stuff have done, they've done just about everything. And it's on a card. And so they actually, the last 2 days, well, yesterday was a walkthrough, but today they gave us a really good look. They were crisp and they were into it, and appreciate their effort. It's hard to simulate their size, and as crisp as they run it. But in terms of the structure, the scheme, we can do a pretty good job of that.
Did you know David Shaw at all when you guys were both in the NFL?
I knew his dad very, very well. I knew his dad extremely well. I've known David for a long time, but I knew his dad a lot better than I knew him.
In what capacity did you?
Well, fellow coaches. I always had a lot of respect for his dad. We both had a defensive background, and so at the combine and things like that, out on the road working guys out, we'd always talk ideas. I just had a lot of respect for him as a coach.
And when you watch Stanford play, can you see NFL influences there? I mean, you guys are really the only two coaches in the conference with an NFL background.
Well, in terms of a sense of attention to detail and the way that they're prepared for situations, yes. But I think football's football. And good coaches know how to prepare at any level. And I think David's a really good coach.
Is their running back Christian McCaffrey compared to other Stanford running backs that you faced over the years?
They have always had, since Jim Harbaugh got there, this tremendous combination of a really tremendous offensive line and tight ends. Sometimes their tight ends are offensive linemen, and a running back, that can just grind it out and make plays and make you miss and make clutch catches and things like that. And that's what you see this year as well with the guys up front and with McCaffrey.
The explosiveness, the elusiveness McCaffrey has, does that sort of set him apart and make being assignment perfect that much more important this week?
You have to be disciplined, because he does have great change of direction, and he's patient. We get to see that in Perkins, every day. But it's practice as opposed to a game where there's a little bit more intensity. So you just have to do your job, and you have to be assignment perfect. You have to be in there with great play entry and leverage, and play good gap control defense. And then you've got to tackle well, because he's a guy that's slippery, and as we've seen, his all-purpose yards are off the charts. So he's just a really, really tremendous player, that great competitor.
Have you been pleased with the way your run defense responded during the bye week and so far today?
I thought when we came out against Arizona State and we played really good run defense, especially early, and then they got some things late, but we were much better. And then the two practices last week, I thought we were good, and then today we were on it again. It's a matter of, I think sometimes it's, we had to rearrange the puzzle a little bit with some guys going down and some guys switching positions and asking Kenny Young to go to the will linebacker instead of the Mike, and it seems like it would be an easy thing to do, just to switch positions, but it's really not. It changes all your reads and your alignments and your play entries and all of those things. But I think that we're reorganized now and we're settled in a little bit better, and I think we'll continue to get better.
Zako Sabanea, talk a little bit about his process of where he started and where he is now.
Well, he's a good player. I mean, he's he came into that BYU game when Kenny went down, or when Kenny got ejected, and he played very well. And against Arizona, he played well. I don't think any of us played as well as we'd like on defense. We didn't perform as well as we'd like. But last week he played well. I think he's got a lot of confidence, and he's a young man that when he gets on the field, he has the ability to make plays. You saw that in high school, and you've seen that when he's been here. He's had a real willingness to kind of work at different positions. Heck, we played him at defensive end a little last year, just to get him on the field. He has a real eagerness to play, and you appreciate that. He's always prepared, and he brings a lot of energy. He's a good tackler. He makes plays. He can catch the ball. So it's good to see him out there performing.
You talked a little bit about the 2 Thursday games where the drawbacks of that. Is there some advantage, though, in recruiting that you can go out and see some players on Friday?
I guess, but I'm more concerned right now with trying to beat Stanford than recruiting. I mean, that's our focus, is trying to win these games. I think winning games is the number one thing that helps recruiting.
Is there a different mental hurdle for your players given the recent series history with Stanford?
No, I think that every year is a different deal. I think if you dwell on the past, whether it's a positive past or not so positive past, I think it's the wrong thing to do. I think you just have to approach every game and every team every year as a different entity, and that's what we try to do. A lot of these guys, our freshmen have never played Stanford. Our sophomores have played them once, so it's just no, I don't think so. I think you try to bring it into what it is that week. That's what you try to do.
All right, thanks, guys.
Okay, thanks.